Thank you for who joined in on the Rockfin. If you haven't joined in on the Rockfin, you've been hanging out.
Elizabeth Warren and Bernie.
Well, whatever. They're talking, please, with these people.
Oh, you know what,
I'm
Bernie?
sorry.
Do not talk to that woman. She's just not.
Whoa!
Your
That did
friend.
not look amicable.
It shouldn't be.
Holy
you know what?
shit.
It shouldn't be. What she did is she crossed.
Did
the
you see
Rubicon.
that?
Yeah, I saw it. She
Okay.
crossed the Rubicon.
Yeah, he was like, no. He his body language. I'm sorry, like
me
his
tell you
body
something,
language.
That is a betrayal that is just too deep to turn your back
Yeah.
on. And I am sorry. It's obvious to me that she's not telling the truth.
And I think we've talked about this before. I'm actually upset because I know Bernie considered her a friend, and it really
it's a betrayal.
and he's such a kind person that even now and even then he wasn't rude to her in the way she was to him.
Yeah, he needs to go after her, and he's not going after her.
And that's the thing, like
that's not his nature. I
it's
understand
not
what
his
you're saying.
nature, but
That's
come
not-
on.
yeah.
A lot of people are like, come on, Bernie. Like,
Yeah.
there's a limit. We all have a limit. We all have a limit. She's crossed that limit.
I'm also pretty disgusted with CNN. I'm going to bring this up one
Yeah.
more time because
Yeah.
they did what they did in order to get higher ratings, to get more ad sales. This isn't about informing the electorate.
Right.
But what really irks me is that mid-range when they asked them both about it, Bernie made really clear what had happened, and the moderator more or less ignored what he said
Yep.
and said, Elizabeth, how do you feel about the fact that Bernie said this to you? Because you know they're going to clip that right there. They're
Yep.
not going to include Bernie. They're going to clip that into a clip, and it's going to go. They're going to push it out there tomorrow as the news.
Yeah.
But and it's just I'm so disgusted by this because it's not fair to the American population. They're not getting exposure to veracity, things
Yep.
that matter about
Yeah.
policy.
Yep.
And God damn it, if I am so pissed at Warren for participating in that, why calling herself. She tripled down.
Yeah.
It makes me think, too, though, well, the mainstream media is part of the establishment. It's
Yeah, of
also
course they
about
are.
control and power. It's all connected. And, you know what I'm saying? The way
It's
they were
wealth-
framing
yeah,
these
wealth and
questions
power.
tonight, the way they were, it was like they were all scripted
Yeah.
to make themselves look like everybody got a script except Bernie. Somebody said that on the chat, and it was so true. It's about retaining power and control. Along with the finances.
But it's
and,
almost like it's going to backfire, Pasta. The reason Bernie is so popular is because he is genuine and
Right.
authentic.
Right.
Because he's not scripted. Because he's when you ask him a question, he actually will tell you what you think.
Yeah.
Or
and
what he
he's
thinks, yeah.
saying. Yeah, he's not like pandering to voters.
Let's see what it looks like
expressing-
again. You ladies
Yeah.
take a look. You tell me.
100%.
Fiorella, you said it didn't look good first.
Yeah, play it again.
Tina, take a look.
And good evening. I'm Anderson Cooper live from the Democratic debate in Des Moines, Iowa. This was it. The last time Americans
She's
will hear the
approaching
Democratic
him,
candidates
yeah.
all on a stage together,
Oh, yeah,
hearing them
this doesn't
debate
look
before
good.
the
Can you make
first
it bigger,
votes
though?
are cast. 20 days.
There,
No,
right
there,
there,
right
right there.
there.
Caucuses in 20 days. 6 candidates on stage. Laser
Yes!
focused
Johnny, can you go
policy
back a
Yeah.
second? I thought
healthcare,
she did
jobs,
not shake his
topics
hand.
that
No,
votes are
no.
cast 20 days
Did he put his hand
from
out and he
now.
didn't shake it?
No, he's
Caucuses in
pushing her
20
way.
days.
Go back, though, when
Six
he
Yeah,
goes
he
to the
literally
beginning.
goes
He's
like
no,
this.
yeah, I don't want to talk to you.
Go back a little bit more.
Yeah, he's shunning her, and rightfully he should.
Now
At
watch
least it
this,
appears that
Johnny.
way to me.
Again, he's not publicly going to be nasty
He puts
to
his
her,
hand out, though. Watch this.
but he's going to shun her in real life.
Right here, hands
she-
out. She didn't shake his hand.
No.
No.
He put it down. Wow.
Yeah.
Hard to say,
Yeah.
but it
It
looks
is.
like
No.
it looks like he's like fed up. It looks
She
like
didn't
he's.
shake his hand.
I
She
feel
didn't
like
shake
this
his
is I'm done
hand.
with
They
you after
went
this.
from giving each other a hug to not even a handshake.
Wow.
what she did
refused
is-
the handshake. And then he would look like he had it. Who knows?
She
God.
is gaslighting. This is gaslighting. This is like taking his words, twisting them, and making herself the victim. And using the, quote, Me Too movement, using the feminist card, the women card, to go once again repeat the same thing that Hillary
You know,
Clinton tried to take him down on.
What's really crazy about this is the Washington Post is the one publication that actually had the
They
most
were like, no.
authentic story about this, which is kind
I'm
of
just
surprising
like,
to me.
wait a minute, what?
And I have to also mention Matt Taibbi had a great tweet when this first happened. He said there were only 2 people in the room that
Yeah.
night, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Who are these 4 anonymous sources that CNN was attributing the story to begin with?
Yeah.
And I think it's obvious to me that this is an exaggeration, if not an outright lie. It's one thing for me to say to somebody who asked me, like, do you think it's going to be a problem being a woman running in this race against Trump, saying, yeah, he's going to attack you for being a woman. That is not the same thing as saying I don't want a woman or a woman can't win president. Right. Those are two distinctly different things. And for her to atone the second thing onto the first is
she's
bullshit.
cherry picking.
Now she's horse trading politics right now.
Yeah.
She's doing a political smear. She's doing it because she thinks it's going to benefit her, but I think it's going to
backfire. This is the worst move that she could have done.
I think she just blew up her campaign.
She blew up her entire
campaign. She sacrificed herself. She's in Bernie's camp.
Nobody I mean, I don't want to say
Which
nobody.
Which is why I'm wearing a pussy hat. She went full wine mom.
The majority of non-pussy people, the majority of Bernie supporters or people who even had her as their second are now saying they're not going to vote for her.
That's exactly right. And here's the thing that she should have been more self-aware in is the fact
terrible
that
political instincts.
Clearly, but the vast majority of Warren supporters are Bernie people. Like her pool of voters stems from that same progressive movement.
Really? I disagree. I think the majority of her supporters were proven to be ex-Hillary supporters, right?
I think it's morphed into that, but not originally.
I think originally there was some of the Bernie supporters going there. I agree.
In 2015
originally.
when he asked her to run.
No, even in the beginning when she was going for Medicare for all and all of that.
I'm going back. Yeah, so I'm saying her roots are in this sort of economic populace where I'm fighting against the 1%, where I'm saying the income inequality in the country is severe, where I'm going to take on Wall Street banks, where I'm going to go after credit card companies and install more. But I'm saying all of that stuff, her apparent roots after she left the Republican Party.
But it was all more about curtailing crony capitalism, not really raging against the machine, like you know what I'm saying. Like Bernie Sanders, like, okay, we have to. If it's too big to exist or fail, it's too big to exist.
She emphasized she was a capitalist and believed in
the
markets,
whole time.
Et cetera,
et cetera. She wanted to curtail the banks and whatnot.
100%. So I do think she's like when she said a capitalist to her bones. I think she does mean that. And Bernie Sanders definitely a democratic socialist. So they have two different viewpoints of what the economy should look like. I think that's true, but I think for a long time. I think the American public was not quite aware of what those distinct differences were yet. So there was a time when Warren's economic populist arguments sounded very progressive. If you didn't know what democratic socialism, I mean, think about this for a second. 5 years ago, if you were saying I'm a socialist, you were going to get banned, shunned, and
and even now, but it's not as bad.
It's not as bad, and it's changed quite a bit. We can actually have the discussion on Marxian economic systems now that we couldn't have 5 years ago.
That's true.
So I'm saying there's been a fundamental shift in the Overton window on what we can discuss in this arena. And I think it's distinctly benefited Bernie Sanders, and it's what's made him, propelled him forward into this position.
It's also part of it's why, because he's genuine though too. 100%. It's not just, he doesn't necessarily lead with the label socialist. They brought up like
they did that scary
question again.
Yeah, they had their let's make sure that we let America know that he's still a socialist.
He's never been asked before, guys.
But that reaffirms the mentality that you have to take a Tulsi Gabbard on as your running mate or in your cabinet or that alliance to get those other votes, because Bernie Sanders will be distant for them.
And again, I'm going to give Tulsi props this evening because she did come out and tweet today that she had met with Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
And once again, Bernie had been nothing but polite, cordial, and
respectful. Of course.
So
once again, somebody stood up for Bernie Sanders.
It gets to his credibility because if he met with Liz and said a woman can't be president, how did he meet with?
He never said
right,
it.
Exactly. But if that were even true, if we're pretending that were true, how would he meet with Gabbard and not say the same thing? She could have capitalized and said, "Oh yeah, Bernie Sanders said this." She wouldn't do that.
That's a tough thing to believe. And here's the thing: the other thing that's happening on this is really bothering me is some of these sort of wine mom still withering Pumalas are out there trying to turn this into like this believe women kind of thing, and I'm like, do not insult victims of sexual harassment and rape by trying to
make something out of nothing.
Yes,
because this is a political smear.
Yes, this is.
This is not even remotely the same thing.
I was waiting for that.
It's shameful for them.
Just
to do
waiting
this.
for them in the bushes, for them to use that believe woman in a situation like this, because they're always going to do it, and there's nuance to that, and they totally just use it and weaponize
But it's
it.
why
Yeah.
they weaponize it. It's why I don't believe these Clinton folks when they say they're feminists.
Well, they're
If you
not.
are truly a feminist, you don't defend your sexually harassing husband while calling the other women bimbo explosions. This is not what true feminists do.
True.
And both
And then
Warren
turn
and
around
Hillary
say,
are guilty
believe
of that.
women. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They're full of shit.
Guys, who won the debate? I mean,
Bernie Sanders.
It was quite a boring debate. I mean,
But Bernie Sanders he handled all of that very well.
He did, and he had every opportunity though to go after Liz, and she was so rude, and it was maddening to me. It was so maddening to me, and he
I'm
didn't
done
do
with
it,
her. I'm done
and
with
he
her.
completely. He just completely
But
stood his ground. Policy.
I might have even
that's
said,
it.
I might have been somebody that even said, like Bernie did in 2015, Warren should run for president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us wanted her to run.
Yeah. Now I don't even recognize who this person is.
No.
I have zero support of her. Zero.
Yeah. The impeachment part was what we thought it would be. Once
Yeah.
again, kind of honing on that. I can't believe that thing's going to even go to the Senate with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
This horse and pony show that the Democrats are putting on. And that's the problem with a lot of it. Listen, let me tell you something about the problem about Tom Steyer. Like, Tom Steyer has been performing, like we said. He's not awful. He knows about some things. He put his money where his mouth is when it comes to his activism. But the situation is these Democrats on this stage, because one's not there, refuse to hold their own party accountable.
Yep.
It makes them look so
They
hypocritical.
never do. Possibly,
And
but
it's
they
disgusting.
never do.
But when do you
Half
think a
of
guy, like an outside guy like Steyer, might take a shot?
Yeah, no, I got you there.
Little jab or something.
I mean, like the entire conversation about Iran was just one more example of that.
yeah.
Here you had a bunch of
There
Democrats.
was
Special
one
Forces
anti-war
Pete.
candidate, and that was
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders.
The
That's
only
it.
one. I mean, literally the only one. These folks
that
all
stage.
gave Trump a blank check when they passed his bloated defense bill. But what
Absolutely.
did they fucking think
Yes.
it was going to do with this?
Yes,
But they won't talk about
that's
that,
the fugaziness of the impeachment. They're going to impeach him, and then they give him his bill. You know what I'm saying? And also the global warming.
I'm going to be saying Fugazi a lot after this.
Well, it is
Fugazi.
Fugazi, and you know who else is Fugazi? Elizabeth
Does that
Warren.
mean fucked up?
Elizabeth, it's
Am I
fake.
allowed to?
I think Elizabeth Warren lost this debate, by the way.
Oh.
She did.
I
She did.
think she lost this debate more than any of them. And the reason I think that is
Yeah.
because she purposely went after Bernie Sanders, purposely attacked
doubled
on her
down.
Okay.
left.
Yes.
Attacked.
Yeah.
That's you don't do that. You don't do that.
Isn't it quite obvious that the woman is not a climate change hero at all? You talk about
Yeah.
the green bombs is another way to try to, it's Fugazi language for talking around, fake language for trying to talk around like
Yeah.
you're going to be for the climate when you want to make our bombs green. And once again, she is okay with the trade deal, even has no talk about climate change. And that's where Tom and Bernie said, no, we shouldn't advance any trade bill that doesn't address climate change. But Elizabeth Warren, who
She
supports
said
Richard
yes.
Cordray, she
Yeah.
says yes. She supports Richard Cordray, who was a pro-fracking governor,
Yeah.
Yep.
and Dennis Kucinich, who was supported by Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
Once again,
No,
it should be of no
exactly.
surprise that this woman is not for the environment, and she's once again
She's
been
gonna
exposed.
take the money when in the general too, so you know she's not serious.
And I was kind of disturbed by the fact that she said, she started that entire speech by saying, the problem is Trump started these trade wars. Trump did
Yeah.
this, Trump did that. But yeah, I'm going to vote on Trump's trade deal.
right. She literally contradicted herself
yeah,
because
it's a
Bernie and
total
her
contradiction.
completely. That was one of the in the beginning
This
of last
trade-
week. That's
this
where
trade
they
deal is going to
shifted.
push us back 5 years because it's not so easy to start over and renegotiate one of these pacts once they're in place. It's better to wait until we have a Democrat in office like a Bernie Sanders or somebody else. Well, no, let me be clear. Like Bernie Sanders, only Bernie Sanders.
Let me be very clear.
They can actually negotiate a good trade agreement right from the get-go that includes labor laws, that includes climate change provisions.
Quickly next time
Elizabeth
around because
Warren
they'll think
is
they've
dead
done
wrong on
something.
this.
She's
Yes,
so
she is
wrong.
completely
Dead
wrong.
wrong.
I
But
agree.
that's the centrist argument. Like, oh, we got to be practical. We got to pass what we can.
No, we
Pragmatism.
don't. Being practical, being pragmatic, being all of these
Those
things
are
has
bullshit
put
terms.
us
I'm
where
so
we
done.
are now, so far
Yep.
down the rabbit
No,
hole.
Amy Klobuchar
Wake
said you could
up.
be progressive and practical.
I gotta say though, Amy Klobuchar.
Why is Amy still on the stage?
To the centrist moms and all those uninformed politicians, her and Buttigieg are gonna sound good.
God,
and that's
Mayor
the problem.
Pete, I can't stand.
I mean, at this point, I think we should focus on the elections and getting him out of office.
Look, I don't think it matters whether he's impeached or not. It matters on who our candidate is that comes through the primary.
that
I tell you right now,
matters
if it's
more.
not Bernie Sanders, we're screwed. And the new Newsweek poll that came out this morning had him doubling his lead over
yeah.
Trump. So He's absolutely the only one that's going to be able to carry this election.
Glory Jones, believe women as long as it's not a woman of color against the establishment.
No, and she's not wrong on this.
The Birdman killed it, by the way. Screw Warren and send Nira to Iraq.
Yeah.
Love you, Glory Jones. Get her ass there.
Send Nira to Iraq.
I don't know why you're
Nira
saying that
Tandon?
about me. Nira Tandon.
Yeah, Nira Tandon has me blocked on Twitter. It really sucks.
I really am trying to get her to block me. I'm trying to accomplish that
It's
feat.
actually not that hard, Fee. What are you slapping
I
off?
keep tweeting at her.